Hey, what's up guys? John here. Michael Burry made a very unique and interesting position on what he thinks happens over the next 3 to 6 months in this economy, and I think that he is spot on. Like, he is right on the money here of what happens. Big short investor Michael Burry warns the U.S. economy is on borrowed time and consumers will blow through their savings in a matter of months. In a matter of months. This video is sponsored by CashNow.video, but more on that later. The U.S. economy is being propped up by consumers cracking open their piggy banks and can capitulate once their savings dry up later this year, Michael Burry warned in a recent, now deleted tweet. Charting total U.S. personal savings to GDP, he wrote, redlining is at an all-time low of 1.5% set in July of 2005. At the last 12-month rate, depletion of savings could hit that level between September and December of this year, borrowing time. So, we're in June right now, July, August, September, 3 to 5 months, basically 3 to 5 months, and everyone's going to be completely out of money. The investor, The Big Short fame, attached a chart, and that's if gas prices are not continuing to soar and inflation is continuing to soar at the current rate, or potentially at a more ambitious rate than it currently is right now. The investor of The Big Short fame attached a chart showing U.S. personal savings have plunged over 25% of GDP in the spring of 2021 to about 3.8% today, and are on course to hit a record low under 1.5% later this year. Burry's view seems that consumers are rating their savings accounts to whether inflation, in food, energy, housing costs, and a recession is likely once those cash reserves are exhausted. That, I believe, is spot on. Spot on. Because as this continues and people raid through their savings, we don't have the stimulus, the unemployment benefits, the PP loans, all of these, all of these little helpful situations that helped millions and millions of people, they're gone, right? And so if these situations are gone and people are spending through their money, what's ultimately going to happen is they're going to have to charge it on credit cards, right? And imagine this. You're at the gas pump. You fill up your tank. You got a Honda Civic. You fill up the tank. It's $100. And you put it on a credit card. And the credit card is charging you 28% interest. And you're making the minimum payments. You're paying $300 really to fill up that tank at the end, because you're paying 2.5 to 3x long term if you're making minimum payments. And that's what most Americans are going to be doing. They're going to be making the minimum payments because they have no other option. That's what I believe separates the rich from the poor, is their access to cheap money and their ability to know how to invest that money. If you want to know how to invest, you want to invest in real estate when the market crashes, you want to get started on YouTube, you want help with your credit so you can get access to really good credit, potentially 0% interest credit cards for 6 to 12 months, CashNow.video. CashNow.video. Join my private community with bi-weekly phone calls with me. The hedge fund manager could also mean by borrowing time that consumers will have to load up on debt once their savings accounts are empty. And that's exactly what they're banking on, loading up on debt. Because as they load up on debt, people are going to have to start selling assets to make good. And that's when wealthy people are going to run out there and buy assets. That's what they're going to do. It's what they always did. Look at 2008. When the housing market crashed, Blackstone formed Invitation Homes. They purchased 90,000 houses off the cuff, 90,000 houses. What do you think is going to happen with all these private equity firms all over the world? They're going to be looking at America. They're going to be looking at opportunities to invest money, right? Because the dollar is dying. The dollar is getting just absolutely crushed. They're going to want to put it in hard, real assets, right? Or the federal government will have to engage in one of the debt-funded spendings to keep the economy afloat, which I think is also very likely to happen, which if we step into another problem where, we see something pretty crazy, they may start printing more money. But what this is ultimately going to do, it's going to create a bigger problem. We're going to have more inflation. We're going to have more people that are on fixed incomes and retirement plans that are going to be pushed out of retirement because of this newfound inflation, right? You're not going to be able to print your way out of this. Not in the long term. Short term, maybe. Not in the long term. For example, he cautioned that Americans' dwindling savings, ballooning credit card debts, and reduced savings could spell trouble for the economic growth and corporate profits, looming a consumer recession and more earning trouble. In another tweet, Burry noted that U.S. consumers benefited from the stimulus checks, forgivable loans, cash out refis, and indirect fiscal support during the pandemic. He appeared to question how they could ever rebuild wealth now that inflation, rising interest rates, tumbling asset prices are ravaging household finances. And that is the big thing. That's why I keep saying that we really have 1 to 3 years at maximum, because consumers won't be able to rebuild their wealth. That's just the sad reality. If people go to school to make $50,000 or $80,000 a year, right? And inflation, someone argues 20%. If that is the case, and they're making $80,000, they really now have the purchasing power of $65,000, right? And then they're paying taxes. They're paying taxes on that. Maybe they take home $55,000, and then their rent increased 25%, and then gas prices went up 80%, and then everything else is continuing to rise. What's ultimately going to happen is that person that went and made $80,000 a year is now not able to make it, right? People are going to need to make $280,000 a year. That's where we're headed as a society. The middle class is just getting evaporated, and it's just going to be the haves and then everybody else below. That's what's happening, and that's what Michael Burry is pointing to right here, saying that he appeared to question how they could ever rebuild wealth now that inflation, rising interest rates, and tumbling asset prices are ravaging household finances. And that's also another big problem too, is when we step into uncertain times, lenders tighten up lending. So they're not going to want to lend as much on home mortgages because they took on a lot of risk during that crash or during the pullback with all these defaults. They're not going to want to just issue loans out to all of these different people and take on more risk. They're going to look for highly qualified, cash-heavy, great credit score borrowers. That's what they're going to want to lend to. They're not going to want to lend to somebody that has 3.5% down, that has a 620 credit score. That person is not going to likely be able to get a loan. The Scion chief is best known for predicting and profiting from the collapse of the mid-2000s housing bubble. He bet against Elon Musk's Tesla and Cathie Wood's ARK Innovation Fund last year, and inadvertently laid out the groundwork for a meme stock craze by investing in GameStop before the stock skyrocketed. Burry is notorious for predicting calamities and disasters. He rang the alarm on the greatest speculative bubble of all time in all things last summer, and warned buyers of meme stocks and cryptocurrencies that were facing the mother of all crashes. Moreover, he recently compared the current market downturn to the housing bust that he made him famous as in 2008. It is like watching a plane crash, and he just tweeted that last week. Look at this chart. So charting total U.S. personal savings GDP, red line is the all-time low at 1.5% in July 2005. At the last 12-month rate of depletion of savings could hit that level between September and December this year, borrowing time, right? You look at the chart, right? That's basically what's happening right now. So we are, I think, right in line with what Michael Burry is saying. I believe that September to December could very well be, but I think it could potentially be sooner than that if we see gas prices continue to rise at this rate, because we're now at record highs. We gained 25 cents a gallon just in the last 7 days. If we continue with this momentum and we start to see $6 a gallon, $6.50 a gallon, $7 a gallon as the national average in the next couple months, then I think we could arrive early at Michael Burry's prediction. But I think ultimately by the end of this year, we're really going to start to see massive pullback, especially in stocks, especially in speculative assets like NFTs and crypto. I think we're going to start to see people get into defense mode and really, really focus on being able to survive. That's what's ultimately going to happen, right? And at that moment, that's when you want great credit. You want multiple streams of income. You're going to want a business plan on how you're going to be able to make money and invest, and to build out a mode of safety when things hit the fan. Because at this point, I think everyone knows things are hitting the fan. Everybody knows it. Ray Dalio is talking about it. Bill Ackman's talking about it. All the billionaires are talking about it. Elon Musk, everyone. It's like they all sold. Most of these people sold in Q3, Q4 2021. They sold at the top of the market. Now they're all calling this recession. Jamie Dimon, the head of one of America's, if not America's biggest bank, said that we're stepping into a hurricane. The hurricane is not behind us, it's in front of us, right? This is what's happening. It's up to smart investors to prepare now, and it shouldn't be as bad, right? You'll be able to hopefully invest when things hit the fan, and this could actually turn out to be a benefit for you. Not a great societal benefit by any means, but a benefit for you because you'll be able to buy discounted properties and discounted assets. Drop your comments below, hit the like button, subscribe, or else subscribe to my second YouTube channel. It's going to be a podcast and an interactive show this upcoming week. I'm really looking forward to that. It's going to be a call-in show. And then on LinkedIn, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok, everything in the banner. But drop your comments below on this. Do you think that Michael Burry is correct with predicting a recession, or really a depression, in which all the wealth is going to get sucked out of the middle class, sometime this year, saying that it's going to be nearly impossible due to inflation and rising interest rates and cost of life for people to get out of this. What do you think? Drop it below. Let's talk about it, and I'll catch you guys in the next video.